Hello, hey, this is Tom Cox. I'm with Cummins Engineering Corporation in Springfield, Illinois. This is the introduction to an ORD class that we're putting together. It is a 5-day class. It's going to be actually broken down into two separate classes, one 3-day class, one 2-day class. And we are going to run through an actual project that was previously developed using MicroStation and Geopack, but we are going to develop the project using the ORD software, which is a Bentley product, OpenRoads Designer. So we're going to be using the OpenRoads Designer software using the IDOT ORD environment, and we are going to be developing a county highway project, a realignment project. In fact, that's what we're going to do. The approach that we're taking to learn how to use this software is going to be somewhat streamlined in that we're not going to talk about every different way that you could go about designing a project or different tools that you could use. We are going to try to keep it brief, just look at one possible way of doing it to accomplishing that goal. And that goal in this case is, like I said, a county highway. We are in Illinois. We are just north of Danville, up by the town of Rossville, which is on the Indiana and Illinois state line. I'm going to zoom into it right here. I'm going to switch over to the Bing map. And you can see that the road here does not, that's the Illinois-Indiana state line. You can see it doesn't line up real well, and so there's been a lot of crashes in this area. So really both Illinois and Indiana are on the same page here. The Illinois side, which is Vermilion, this is a Vermilion County project. So we are going to just extend the county highway through here, actually pull a tangent off of the curve here, and then there'll be another curve. We're going to come in tangent with this road over here that is in Indiana, and then someday in the future they hope to actually kind of straighten out the road similar to what we're doing on the Illinois side. And this is, like I said, a real project. It's actually under construction right now. So this is the project that we're going to be using. So, okay, let's jump to our kind of our outline or itinerary. And now that we know it's going to be a 5-day class, this first 3-day class, let's talk about that class first. The concepts that we are going to learn in the Road 1 class are, we're going to talk about when to use a 2D file and a 3D file. Mostly what we do, we're going to look at using 2D files, but most of them will actually have a 3D file within the 2D file, and we'll talk about what that means. Really, the only straight up 3D file is going to be your terrain file. So your digital terrain model. Getting started, that would be your existing terrain model. We could also have a proposed terrain, but initially all of our files are going to be 2D files getting started with 3D, with that one 3D terrain. And you can kind of read through these on your own. I'm not going to read every single concept, but as we get going, I think I'm going to try to create one video per concept. So you've got the 25 concepts we're going to learn here, and then at the end of those 3 days, our deliverables would be really just hard copy plans, PDFs, just as if it would be the same type of deliverable that we would put out today using Power Geopack. Even though we're going to be modeling, we would have the ability to, export that model, give it to the contractor, that sort of thing. But besides that, we are still going to be able to produce plan and profile sheets and cross sections And they're going to look the way that we get there is completely different, but they're going to look very similar to what everybody has been used to seeing for many years. And so on this particular job, we're going to use 50 scale. We're going to have 2 plan profile sheets. We're going to end up with about 6 cross-section sheets. So we'll cut cross-sections probably every 50 feet or 100 feet. You know, it doesn't really make a big difference. In this case, really what the goal here is really just to learn these concepts. So then let's take a look at the next class. That'll be the 2-day class, those final 2 days. And what you're going to find is the way that we set up our sheets are completely different. So besides learning the modeling, the plan profile, the cross sections, we're also going to need to learn how to set up the cover sheet, detail sheets, all these things. Many of these things are different. They're not necessarily difficult, but they're just different than what we're used to using in Power Geopack. And we'll get into some of the more advanced type modeling things like clipping the corridor and corridor targeting, you know, all these techniques that we're going to need to know to really complete the job. But initially we're going to learn the basic fundamentals, but ultimately to put out a set of plans, you're really going to need to know everything that we're going to learn here over these 5 days. And the deliverables from that second class we're going to be we'll get into developing the entrances and side roads and even culverts. You know, we think about Power Geopack, we just basically drafted in the culvert. Well, you know, with modeling it's a little different. We're going to be using some software that is kind of now built really within ORD called Drainage and Utilities. It's really for any underground type utilities, whether it be, you know, drainage or other types of utilities like gas or really any type of underground utilities, telephone, fiber, whatever. And we can calculate quantities really in a couple different ways. You know, one would be to look at the volumes within the 2 existing and the proposed terrains. We can still also have the software for us calculate the cuts and fills and then place that information on sheets. We're also going to be able to produce a lot of reports that are really good information that could be put out with a project, and you can reference back to that, like such as you may wonder, well, the super elevation, how was that developed? What standards were used to determine what super elevation was used? So all that's keyed in. It just makes it real nice for reporting out that, the alignments, the coordinate table, all those kinds of things. Now, some of the things that are not going to be included in the class is a training manual. Instead of having the training manual, we are going to make available these recorded videos, and then you can play them back and pause them, all those kinds of things. We're really not going to get into processing surveys in ORD for this class. So this is more of a design class, not a survey class. And in fact, on this project, we're going to assume that the survey that we were given, which actually we were given in this case, is a survey that came from Power Geopack. So we're going to be importing a TIN file that you'd be familiar with, and importing the alignment from a GPK that you would also be familiar with from Power Geopack. We're going to talk about doing some 3D drafting, which is, or I should say, we're not going to be talking about actually drawing in 3D. Really, everything that we're going to be doing in this case, all the 3D is really just a result from working in the 2D, applying templates and these sorts of things, where it automatically gives you that 3D data that you can visualize cross sections against. And then also for bridges, we're not going to be modeling bridges. We're not going to be using the companion software of ORD, which is called OBM, Open Bridge Modeler. We're not going to get into that. So that kind of gives you an idea on what to expect. So yeah, let's end the intro here and we will get started.